Hi everyone, welcome to the visual guide for WorQor Lar Dor, where we face off against the fierce Valigarmanda. This is the first trial made available by the MSQ in Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail. If you find that your group is a disaster or your fellow players are freezing up, don't let yourself erupt on them and ruin everyone's fun. My name is Miztech and I'll be your trial guide. Getting hit by any attacks in this encounter will debuff players with damage over time and a stacking trauma debuff. This debuff will make players vulnerable to any subsequent attack damage, which will result in a full-blown concussion, stunning them for a short time. Since getting stunned at inopportune times during the encounter can prove fatal, I recommend avoiding all unnecessary damage. As soon as the encounter begins, the new alert text will draw your attention to the winds around the boss. Anytime the boss flies over the platform in a circle, players will need to move into the center of the platform to avoid the incoming room-wide donut attack. When the boss gathers its strength, begins to glow, and rears up on the edge of the platform, all players will need to move out of melee range to avoid the incoming point-blank circle attack. When the boss builds up energy in its beak, all players will need to move to the front two corners to avoid the incoming massive frontal cleave through the center of the platform. These attacks will occur throughout the encounter and have no cast bar. Players will need to be aware of the boss's body language at all times to be able to dodge these attacks. When the boss casts Sky Ruin, the platform will be changed to reflect the image displayed during the cast. In this snow phase, players can expect avalanches to appear on either side of the platform, indicated by these very obvious arrows. Getting hit by this avalanche will debuff and knock back players, so watch your positioning. Move to the opposite side to avoid getting hit. When the boss casts Freezing Dust, all players must be moving at the end of its cast or they will be frozen into a block of ice. Another avalanche will be coming down around this time, making it a very bad time to find yourself frozen in an awkward spot. The boss will spawn ice spheres that will explode in a starburst pattern. Make sure you're not lined up with the circles or their respective lines to avoid getting hit by either explosion. The further you are from one of these spheres, the easier it is to dodge, so use that to your advantage if you need to. Any player hit by this attack will be encased in an ice boulder that can be targeted by others to free them before they die. When the boss casts Disaster Zone, the mini phase will end and the platform will return to normal. This will also deal high raid-wide damage, so healers be ready. During the next Sky Ruin, the platform will change to reflect this lightning storm. The glowing tiles on the platform will levitate any players standing on them. The boss will cast Thunderous Breath, covering the entire platform with its attack. However, the boss will dip down for this cast and will only be able to hit players standing on the platform. Players can easily avoid this attack by levitating. When the boss casts Hail of Feathers, 4 feathers will drop onto the platform, dealing damage to anyone not levitating. Lightning clouds will then target each feather and any players that are levitating at this time. Affected players can move onto the regular tiles to stop levitating, which will make their clouds disappear. All players must ensure they're not too close to the feathers as well, as they will explode in wide circles once they're struck by their own lightning clouds. The boss will spawn lightning spheres on one edge of the platform, and players will need to move into the available safe lane to avoid getting hit. Another Disaster Zone cast and the platform will return to normal. Ruin Fall will form a shared pillar tankbuster in the center, 3 tornado circles on the back edge of the platform, and a knockback from the boss. Both tanks will need to soak the pillar with appropriate cooldowns, while all other players move away. All players will need to use a knockback immunity or pre-position themselves to avoid getting knocked off or into one of the tornadoes forming at the back of the platform. Ruin Foretold will deal massive raid-wide damage. Healers be ready. 3 elemental beacons will appear, and the boss will continuously cast multiple conal AoE attacks across the platform. These beacons will charge up the boss's gauge meter, and players will need to destroy them before it hits 100 or you will die. At the same time, the healers are also constantly targeted by shared damage lineup markers. To handle this, the group can move together to one of the beacons and dodge the conal attacks as they burn it down. Once that's down, they can move together to the next one. Rinse and repeat until all 3 beacons are down. The boss will then cast Thule Disaster, dealing damage based on its gauge meter. Be ready with these group shields, cooldowns, and heals. From this point forward, all players will be afflicted with Perpetual Conflagration, dealing damage over time and increasing damage taken until the boss is defeated. Eruption will target the ground under 3 players for 3 sets of attacks. All players will need to move away from these areas to avoid getting hit. Make sure to watch for the boss's extra attack tells during this time as well. During the next Sky Ruin Ice mini phase, players will need to dodge the avalanche and ice sphere explosions at the same time. Be sure to break out any players that get hit and continue to watch for the boss's extra attack tells. The next Freezing Dust will coincide with another round of ice sphere explosions, and players will have to keep moving inside of the available safe spots to avoid getting frozen. Ice phase mechanics will repeat with some overlap until the boss casts Disaster Zone and the platform returns to normal. Ice Talon will target the top 2 enmity players for heavy hitting tank busters. Move away from others, cool down, and heal as necessary. necessary. During the next Sky Ruin Thunder mini phase, players will need to dodge into the safe Thunder Sphere lane while also ensuring that they are levitated to avoid the boss's breath attack. From here on out, all of these mechanics will repeat until the boss is down. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Up next, we'll look at the Sky Deep Cenote. As always, thanks for watching. Till next time.